I am here to do a tutorial as pattern support for my Blue Morpho Cowl available on Ravelry. I already did a tutorial on single color linen stitch, which I will link to down in the notes, and now this is single color linen stitch, and on the cowl I transitioned into a double color, a 2-color linen stitch. And that's what I'm going to demonstrate to you in this video. I'll link to the previous tutorial in the notes because you can get the basic mechanics of the stitch all from that tutorial. This one is just all about incorporating a color change to give this really interesting textured multicolored fabric with the 2 colors sort of woven together. It almost looks like a woven material because of the way the strands are carried in front. So let me show you the stitch pattern for that first. So it's basically a 2-row repeat, but we turn it into a 4-row repeat because of the color change. So the first row with color 1, you knit 1, slip 1 purlwise with yarn in front, and repeat a round. This is doing it in the round. Round 2, with color 1, you slip 1 purlwise with yarn in front, and then knit 1 and repeat around. You start with an odd number of stitches, so after you finish round 1, you will be immediately set up to do round 2. Then you switch colors, and you do the exact same 2 rows in color 2. Round 1, you knit 1, slip 1 purlwise with yarn in front, and repeat. In round 4, you slip 1 purlwise with yarn in front and knit 1, and then you repeat those 4 rounds until you reach your desired length, switching back and forth between color 1 and color 2. So I have already done a little bit in color 2. I just used some scrap yarn, this yellow acrylic scrap yarn, and so we are on round 1 using color 1, which is knit 1, slip 1 with yarn in front, and I demonstrate this technique in my other video, which is linked below, but you're just going into the opposite color. So you knit 1, you bring the yarn forward as if to purl, slip purlwise, then move the yarn back so it wraps around the stitch that you slipped. This yellow yarn is really splitty, sorry. You knit 1, bring the yarn forward, slip as if to purl, bring the yarn back, wrapping it in front. Knit 1, bring the yarn forward, slip as if to purl, bring the yarn back, wrapping it in front of the slipped stitch. Let me do just a few with my other hand to demonstrate. Knit 1, bring your yarn forward as if to purl, slip as if to purl, then wrap the yarn back around that slipped stitch. Knit 1, yarn forward, slip, yarn back. Knit 1, yarn forward, slip, yarn back, except I'm on my edge stitches and I'm on a purl row for my edge stitches. So let me do those. This is a simulated in the round swatch, which I highly recommend for swatching for your knit in the round objects. You can look up how to do it on Google. So as you can see, after you finish, every other stitch is going to be in color 1, every other stitch is going to be in color 2. That's why it's a 2-round repeat. And you can see how the colors kind of weave on top of each other. You're starting to see that. So let me do round 2. Let me get set up for that. Sorry, my scrap yarn is kind of a tangled mess. Okay. So round 2 is where we start with a slip 1 and then the knit 1. Let me do my edge stitches really quick. Oh, I should be doing this in color 1. My apologies. So I'm going to purl through my edge stitches really quick. Now this one, it's an easy setup. When you're working in 2 colors, you know you're going to slip your same color. So when you're on the second round of a color, you're going to slip your identical color. You're going to slip the color you're working in and knit into the opposite color. Slip the working color, knit the opposite color. Slip the working color, knit the opposite color. The other way to tell is you see these stitches are kind of popping forward while this stitch is hidden back behind a bar. You want to knit the popping forward stitches and, slip of the tongue there, slip the popping forward stitches and knit the stitches that are back behind the bar. So you slip the popping forward stitches and knit the stitches that are back behind this bar, which in round 2 is going to be the opposite color. Let me do a few with my other hand for those of you who knit with working yarn in your right hand. Slip, yarn back, knit, yarn forward, slip, yarn back, knit, yarn forward, slip, yarn back, knit, yarn forward, and so on until you reach the end of your round. Now I'm going to show you how we start the next color. Let me just real quick finish this round. And that was my last yellow stitch. So I'm doing my end stitches now. And if you've never done a simulated in the round swatch, it's got all these loosey-goosey things on the edge, but the middle is just fine. So as you can see, we're starting to get this woven effect with the brown and the yellow. Let me get that in the sunlight a little bit better for you. So now we're switching to the yellow yarn, color 2. And we're going to repeat those same rows, but just in color 2. The first round, you knit first and then slip. The second round, you slip first and then knit. So this time I really am in the yellow. Okay. I get my edge stitches first. So this is round 3 of the pattern repeat. So we're going to look for these ones that are tucked behind a bar. The stitches that are tucked behind the bar are going to get knit. So you knit first, then you slide the stitches that are more forward. You knit the stitch behind the bar, yarn forward, slip the stitch that had been popped forward, yarn back, knit the stitch that was behind that bar, slip the stitch that's popped forward. So you continue this until every other stitch is yellow and every other stitch will be brown, or your color 1 and your color 2. It's going to be set up as every other stitch at the end of round 3. And I will just show you the beginning of round 4, but it's a pretty straightforward stitch pattern and you shouldn't have any trouble with it now that you have seen all the mechanics demonstrated. I keep splitting my yarn. I'm not used to knitting behind a camera like this. Now the linen stitch does have the tendency to knit up a little bit tighter than stockingette. In my pattern there are sections that are in a variation of stockingette and sections that are in linen stitch. And if you find after swatching that your linen stitch draws in a lot, you should go up 1 needle size for your linen stitch sections. Okay. Let me just start round 4, but I don't think you're going to need a whole round demonstrated because at this point it's pretty straightforward. Gotta do my end stitches real quick. And now we get into the pattern, and on rounds 2 and 4 again it's very easy because you know that you're going to slip the working color and then knit into the non-working color. So you slip your working color, knit into the opposite, yarn forward and slip your working color, yarn back and knit into the opposite color, yarn forward and slip your working color, yarn back and knit into the opposite color. And you just do that till the end of the round, and then you'll be set up to switch back to color 1. And again, it's a really easy tell when it's time to do the color change because all your stitches will be in one color, and when all your stitches are in one color, you know you've got to switch back to that opposite color. So there is how your 2-color linen stitch will knit up, and I will put links to my 1-color linen stitch, to my pattern, the Blue Morpho Cowl, and the actual pattern repeat down in the notes. Thank you.